Hello, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me now? Good evening to all of you. First, let me thank God, who is my creator, for allowing me an opportunity to be here, to Aaron for the telephone call. Out of all of the people who could be here tonight, it's a great privilege and an honor for me to be here. Before I get started, I want to thank God for my husband, who is not here tonight. And also, before I go, I may not ever get a chance to come back in these woods like this. So I want to take an opportunity to pay homage to someone very special to me. She's Coach Jeannie Roberts. 20 years later. I was looking around to see where all the basketball people were. Looked like they left and went on home. There's a few of y'all that, wave your hand, let me see you, sugar. One. Where's the Castleberry boy at? Where him at? Come here for a second. I bet you didn't think you were going to get called out. I want to say it's been a long time since I've seen an athlete like you. I appreciate you. You're doing a wonderful job. Keep it. He plays much better than his daddy. I don't even think you played basketball, did you? Anyway, I don't want to hold you long. We're already running late in the evening, but I want to talk to you just briefly about it's overtime. As seniors getting ready to graduate, and I'm going to, because there's a very small number of athletes here, I am going to conform this so that everybody can get something out of this. We've all had things in our life that comes to an end. Everything, basketball has 4 quarters, football has 4 quarters, and I have no earthly idea about any other sport that has quarters. And I think soccer has 2 halves. Is that right? Good. Baseball and softball has 9 innings. Softball, I think, now has 7 innings, if I'm correct. But everything comes to an end. There are certain things in our lives we have to realize that no matter how good they are or how bad they are, they have an ending point. And at that ending point begins a different stage, a different chapter of your life. All of us have the ability to be the authors of our own books. We have the ability to write things that nobody else can write about us, to say things that nobody else knows about us. I want to talk a minute about a great inventor. Anybody know who invented, let me change that, who Thomas Edison is? Yeah, you young man, you know who Thomas Edison, come here. If you don't know, we're going to be in trouble. Who is Thomas Edison? The person that invented his light bulb. The light bulb, you're absolutely right. Give him a hand, thank you. It took Thomas Edison 900 different times. He went 899 times trying to invent the light bulb. And 899 times he took the light bulb, went and plugged it in, flipped the switch, and nothing happened. 899 times people thought he was crazy because he never stopped. He never gave up. There are a lot of people who will look at and listen to your dreams about your life, the vision you have for your life, the plan you have for your life. And because every day you work at it and you work at it, but you keep falling short, but you keep getting back up again, and everybody thinks you're crazy because they don't understand what you understand. They don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't have the drive that you have. And so Thomas Edison, night after night, day after night, day after day, he went over, he flipped a switch, nothing happened. But on the 900th time, because he refused to quit, even though he failed, he is now one of the greatest inventors that we all learn about at some point in our life. We would not be here in the light had it not been for him. And there are a lot of people who are living their life in darkness because they don't realize who the greatest inventor and the greatest creator is. And that is Jesus. Y'all clap your hands and tell God thank you. I'm feeling good right about now. There are a lot of people who measure success and who only see the person who reaches success the first time. Is there anybody in here that ever had any experiences where you tried and tried but you failed and people thought you were a failure because you didn't accomplish it the number of times that they thought you could and they deemed you a failure? Anybody other than me came short more than one time, fell short more than one time? But it's not the person who reaches success the first time that learns. We learn by our mistakes. All of us have made mistakes. Where you gonna click this from? Where the little clicker man? Come here, man. You gotta have to stay right here because you. Thank you. Hit the page. Yeah. All of us have. Thank you. I'm gonna put them on my payroll. All of us have to get to the point where we don't get stuck on our failures. We have to remember to turn the page. There's a new chapter to all of our lives. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the old one. There are a lot of people, every morning you wake up, you think about the things you didn't accomplish, the things that you failed at. I went 20 years staying on one page of what I could be and who I could be. Flip, can you go to the next one? There are some things I'm going to skip. There we go. I was looking at this earlier tonight, and a lot of times you get defined by banners. You get defined by records. You get defined by wins and losses. But at the end of the day, that's not who I was. It was just what I did. And there are a lot of people who try to define you by what you do and not by who you are. Some of you that don't know me, I spent a lot of my time working to play basketball and to make a career. I think, always have thought, and I still think it, I would challenge you if I had a different pair of shoes, Mr. Dalton, that I was the best there was in my time. However, I thought for whatever reason that it made me exempt from the failures of life. It made me exempt from making mistakes. It made me exempt from error. The summer before my senior year, I found out I was pregnant with my first son. It seemed like my entire world had crumbled down. I had the next 20 years of my life planned out, and I wanted everything to play out like I wanted to, and it was all revolving around 94 feet of hardwood and a basketball, and I realized that I had my focus wrong. My focus was wrong because every day I woke up, every night I went to bed with a basketball and forgot about God. Because a lot of us think that that's what we're good at, that's what we're supposed to be doing for the rest of our lives. Well, it just so happens that God had a different plan for me. That basketball was not going to be the nucleus of who I was going to be. It was not going to make the greatest impact of the next child's life I was going to come in contact with. It was not going to erase the pain of hurt from yesterday. Basketball was not going to carry me to my next level of destiny. It was me acknowledging the fact that I am created by God, and because I am created by Him, I should be doing what He created me to do, and that's worshiping Him. And a lot of people, I'm going to say it, a lot of people right here in this city, right here in this community, deem me a failure because I was not accomplishing what they thought I would accomplish, how they thought I would get it done. Well, let me just tell you, like the young lady who introduced me, as you can see by the accolades that she's only named a few, that I'm still successful because it wasn't the basketball who made me, it was the person who worked her butt off, who studied hard, who ended up putting God first, who ended up being a prayer warrior, who ended up being standing in the gap and interceding and praying for other young boys and girls to let you know, don't base your entire life on a sport. Because when it's done, you can have one injury and it change your life. You can make one mistake and it can change your life. Then what will you do? Next slide, please. Thank you, sir. There comes a day when you realize that the best thing you can ever do is turn the page. Stop crying over spilled milk. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't try to put a band-aid on a wound that's already been healed. There's nothing you can do about it. And oftentimes we get stuck on these. And there's a different chapter. I mean, you know it. There's a different chapter. Things happen in our lives that God allows to happen that shift us and put us on the path to destiny. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe it's a baby. Maybe it's being molested. Maybe it's being raped. We don't understand. Maybe it's, infidelity, adultery. Maybe it's whoever. God allows things to happen to us that put us where He wants us to be, at the right place, at the right time, with the right people. Philippians chapter 3, verse 12 through 14. I'm sure many of you have read it. I'm not going to read this up on the board. Hopefully all of us can read. If not, just touch your neighbor and say, can you read that for me? What it all says is, in a nutshell, is Paul here is talking at the church of Philippi, and he says to them, listen, I'm not coming to you tonight because I'm considering myself perfect, because I'm not perfect. What Paul was saying is, even in my imperfections, God has strengthened me. The reason why I'm able to stand here and talk to you is because I failed, but I learned. And I used every failure as a stepping stone to get me to where I am. And all of us have to get to the point where there are people that you're going to have to move out of your way. There are some family members, unfortunately, that you may have to walk away from for you to be able to go to your next level and to do the next thing that God has planned for you. And Paul here says, listen, I can't tell you that I have not failed before, because I have. Everybody knows the story about Paul and his history. He was one of the biggest and greatest persecutors of God's people. That's what he wanted to do every day until he had an experience. And that experience changed his perception about God and changed his outlook on life. And so he became one of the greatest writers that's ever written a book. And he says, I have not achieved anything, but there's one thing that I focus on. I cannot worry about yesterday. Seniors, once you are finished with your senior year, that's it. High school is over. What's your next step? What's your next plan? What's your next move? Anybody play chess? No, okay. Checkers. Uno. Spade. Go fish. There we go. Old maid. Poker. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, in anything that you do, even in basketball, your success is not about what you do now. It's about the next move you plan. And your next move is oftentimes predicated on how the enemy positions himself, or how the other team positions themselves. Smart coaches, I know Jared is gone, so I can't pick on him, but smart coaches, they make their next move by what they think the defender is going to do. The best players do that. And the reason why they do that is because I have to have a strategy, I have to have a plan. And whether your plan is going on, I heard a lot of the different seniors, there was a dental hygienist that was here, there was nursing, there were people that were undecided at this point. But you've got to start planning out what you want to do with the rest of your life. Yeah, I planned out a whole bunch of stuff that it didn't end up coming true. And I look back on it and laugh now, because some of the things I think I said were unrealistic. You know, I was never going to work. That was my plan. Clearly unrealistic, you know, but we all have to work. Next page, please. Thank you. Sometimes the hardest part isn't letting go, but it's starting over. And a lot of us, all of us at one point have had the fear of starting over. Relationships, you know, y'all old people just now dating, you know. The biggest part, she chuckled, the biggest part is starting over, because you don't know what's going to happen now. You've become comfortable with a way of life. You've become comfortable with high school. You've become comfortable with the high school halls and the teachers and the people that you know. That's not the difficult part. It's, where do I go after the familiarity is gone? You know, how do I make new friends? Where do I go? Who's going to be there to hold my hand? Next slide, please. Oh, I like that. Y'all like that? I stole it off of Google. I just gave them their credit, so there's no copyright infringement. Where do you go from here? Next. Your future is now. This is when you start planning for your future. There's only one thing I regret about the decisions and choices I made before I left these hallways. And that was, I really, and Rebecca's older than I am, but I'm sure we all can say this, I really wish I had applied myself more in academics. Because a lot of times when you're good or you think you're good, you work hard on one thing. And I wish that I would have worked a little bit harder. I wish I would have realized what my parents tried to get me to understand about God a long time ago, is that anytime you take him out of the equation, you are doomed for failure. So in my close, I encourage you, make sure you keep God first in everything that you do. Thank you.